Amen.
Everybody good? Trey, want to get us going? Hey, Coach.
Amen.
How's kicker competition going? How's the freshman look, Starzik, and Coach mentioned trying to put pressure on him a little bit. How's that going?
You know, we've we'll go back to the spring. He had a good spring. Like I said, a great spring. He did well over in the practice fields, not as well in the game situations, but you know, the first 2 days, the third day, today was the first day to do live field goals. He made them all, so that was a good start. And then our charting part that we do over here at the stadium, when everybody else is over there practicing, he's done really well there as well. And, you know, I think I'm pleased where he's at. He's young, so, you know how freshmen are going to react. But I think his personality is a lot like Cam Little's, you know, so I'm excited about him. And the most important thing for him is just make field goals this year, you know. But as far as the situations, we haven't started that yet, but I think what you're going to see with Pitt is he's just in the middle of practice. He's going to say field goals up. Have him kick a long field goal, a short field goal. Just try to put some pressure on him like that, which is always good. Anytime the attention is brought to you, I think it's big. And what I'm trying to do in our charting session when nobody else is here, I'm going, all right, we've got Texas A&M at home, second quarter, 4 minutes to go. Just situations like that to get them thinking, you know.
Is Starzik the guy? I mean, have you guys
Well,
kind of
I mean, we always compete. We're trying, you know, letting Blake Ford compete. I think Blake's, you know, transferred back here from North Texas. Charlie Vondermeeden's here. We're letting them compete. So, you know, I think after camp we'll make that for sure decision. But I think Scott's in a good place coming out of spring.
Return game, have you guys spent a lot of time on that? And how is Shanks looking? How's Rodney looking? Anybody else competing for return
you know,
jobs?
at punt returner, I'm trying to think, we have Mega Blake, which is back there working a little bit, and also Sharp's back there working. But I mean, I think Cam will be our guy at the end of the day. But all three of those guys have kind of stood out to me. Kickoff return, of course, Rodney Hill, I think he's had a really good spring, really good camp. And the batting kid that's a freshman here has kind of caught my attention a little bit. But we'll see. And also I think you may see Braylon Russell as an off returner or a returner occasionally, you know, just a big body. And, you know, he's not afraid of contact. So I'm kind of interested to see how he does. We started working at off returner right now. But I'm excited. I think we got, you know, I was talking to Coach Pitt about this. I think we have better returners, better athletes to choose from this year than I've had them the 6 years I've been here. So I'm pretty excited about that.
You mentioned Scott's personality, kind of like Cam, and I think we talked about it in the spring, but is that something you identified in the recruiting process and like a reason maybe you guys gravitated toward him? If
I carry you back to we had a kid committed here at one time, and him and Scott come up to the same camp. And Scott just is almost like he was so locked in and so focused, but also talking to me and all that. He's almost in your face talking. And boy, after the camp, I said, man, he's really good. But golly, I don't know that personality. So, I mean, Cam was the same way because I'm going with his personality. I don't know. But when we had an opportunity to get Scott, that was one of the things for sure that drove me to him. I thought he was a kid that's a player's guy. The kids are going to love him in the locker room. You know, and I think also he's a guy that better handle a little bit of attention.
What about a gunner competition? I mean, who are some guys you're looking at right there so far?
That's so important. You know, last year, Tesla, he's really became a big-time gunner for us, as well as Broden. They did a nice job for us. But Mega Blake's right now would be in the lead for our gunner position. I think that on the other side, right now would be Akari Johnson. He's a kid that's played a little bit on defense, but he's got really good mechanics. So I'm really focusing on those two, but I am looking at a lot of other guys. So, but I'm excited because honestly, with the punt team, you know, if you hit the perfect ball, we're going to be fine. If you don't, you got to have guys that can go cover.
Speaking of punting, Bale had such a good year numbers-wise. What was it maybe in his makeup that allowed him to be that successful, and how can he be better this year?
Yeah, so me and Devin were talking yesterday. You know, his personality, his energy is a blessing and a curse, right? So as a blessing, our players love him on our team. He is a go-getter. He's aggressive. But also that personality, if you have a bad punt, if he doesn't manage it, you can get down, you know, because it's kind of real high, real low. So last year he was unbelievable for about 6 or 7 games. And then we had a little bit of a lull there for 2 games, and then he got back in his rhythms. And we've talked a ton about that. But I'm really pleased with him this morning time. And, I mean, he hit 3 or 4 5-0 hang times, which is really good in the punt world. But I think he can have a fantastic year. He works his tail off, in a weight room. He's as good as a lot of positions in the weight room, just the way he runs and the way he lifts and stuff. And so I'm happy with him. I think he's going to have a great year. I wouldn't want anybody else back there.
I could go look up the numbers for what was a couple of lull games. Do you remember who it was
Yeah,
against?
Texas. He had a lot. It wasn't the whole game, but he had a punt or two that wasn't what quite he'd hit all year. And I can't whoever we played after Texas, and then we got back on track. So I can't remember the flow there. But it was 2 games there in midseason.
Okay, if I recall correctly, Sam mentioned one day up here recently that Starzik had like a 6 for 6 day. So, to the best you can do it, what numbers are you talking about on his charting?
Yeah, so I'll give you 2 things. I always shoot for 80%. I want to be at 80%, but I always tell them this: if you can hit 80%, our football team's going to be fine. If you hit 90%, you can have an opportunity to go to and get a trophy at the end of the year, the Lou Graza trophy, right? So Cam Little, while he was here, he was over 80% every year, but last year in the NFL, he hit 93%. Right, so that's what you're looking for. But so with him, I'm trying to have an 80% season, an 80% practice, and that takes a little bit of pressure off of him. And this is where I try to put pressure on him and take a little bit off. Everything 49 yards and in, we want to try to make that field goal. Anything 50 and above, I always tell them it's a 50-50 deal. So take a little pressure off of them. But the last 2 years we've been pretty good over 50, And but I don't want them to go out there thinking that, hey, I got to make every 50-yard field goal. I mean, obviously they're thinking that way, but I don't want the pressure of it carrying over to the next kick if they miss a long field goal.
Obviously, last year you had a couple older guys transfer in, and now you have a freshman at kicker. I just would imagine mentality is a big thing there, just for a guy that's fresh into the SEC. Kind of what are you looking at when you do recruit a freshman that lets you know that there's somebody that you can count on right away?
Yeah, I think first of all, talent. What kind of leg talent does he have? And I think second of all is the personality, which I think he has that type of personality. Those are kind of the 2 main things I look for. And you try to go back, and in high school, some of these guys kick 6 or 7 field goals all year. It's just according to what team they're on, what their coach is trying to do. So you go to these camps, and for me, in the kicking and the punting world, if I can see a kid compete in a major camp, that's always a big deal. It's not AU basketball, but it's similar to it, right? You go and compete in a 3-day camp. How does he compete against the next best guy in the country? And I think that's important. And you think about Cam Little, and I'm talking a lot about him today, but he came out COVID year. So, I mean, really, I saw Cam one time. He's maxing out at 135 on the bench, right, in high school. That's the last time I saw him COVID hits. And then, so I really never got to watch him kick live, so I had to kind of do everything through video and through the camps.